days when work feels heavy before you even get out of bed. You open your eyes and already feel your body slightly tense, as if something invisible were waiting for you. Your mind begins listing tasks, responsibilities, pending decisions, and deep in your chest, there's a quiet question. Will I be able to protect everything that depends on me? Because it's not just about goals and bills. It's about providing for a household. It's about maintaining a safe environment. It's about being strong when no one notices how tired you truly are. Maybe you're the one who fixes everything, the one who organizes, the one who decides, the one who keeps things running. And even so, when night falls and silence fills the house, you whisper a prayer, asking for protection over your work and over your home. You don't pray for luxury, but for stability, not for applause, but for peace. And that prayer is not born from weakness. It's born from the deep responsibility you carry. Constant pressure activates something inside us. Neuroscience calls it a state of continuous alert. The body releases cortisol. The heart speeds up easily. The mind anticipates problems before they even exist. You begin living in survival mode. And when that state lingers, even your own home can start to feel like tense territory, as if you could never fully relax, as if you're always watching something, always expecting something. It was in this kind of inner world that Psalm 23 was written, not as distant poetry, but as breath in the middle of pressure. It was written by David, a man who knew the responsibility of leadership, who faced betrayal, family conflict, political instability, and real threats. He knew what it was to fall asleep with worries. He knew what it was to wake up with decisions that would affect many lives. And even so, he declared, "The Lord is my shepherd." When you truly listen to that sentence, something begins to shift inside. The Lord is my shepherd. It's not merely a religious statement. It's an emotional repositioning. It's stepping out of the posture of someone who must control everything and into the awareness of being guided. It's allowing your nervous system, even for a few moments, to leave threat mode and experience trust mode. And this isn't only mystical, it's biological. When you trust, your body relaxes. When you feel guided, your breathing slows. When you feel cared for, your mind clears. Maybe what's missing isn't more effort. Maybe it's direction. Maybe it's not more strength. Maybe it's more conscious surrender. Because carrying responsibilities doesn't mean carrying the world alone. And the phrase, "The Lord is my shepherd," whispers exactly that. You are not alone in the field. You are not alone in your decisions. You are not alone when you walk through your front door after a difficult day. Then comes the image of green pastures, not as a symbol of luxury or exaggerated prosperity, but as a symbol of inner regulation. Green pastures are places where the body can lie down without fear, where vigilance can soften, where breathing can deepen. Do you realize how rare that is? A place where you don't have to prove anything, where you don't have to anticipate threats, where you simply rest. Often, work becomes heavy, not only because of the tasks, but because of the feeling of being constantly evaluated. And home becomes tense, not for lack of love, but because everyone arrives tired, carrying their own invisible battles. Psalm 23 does not ignore this. It does not deny the valleys. It does not promise the absence of challenges. It offers presence in the middle of them. And presence changes everything. When you begin to repeat internally, "The Lord is my shepherd," something reorganizes within you. Your spiritual authority realigns. You stop being merely the solitary guardian of your work and your home, and begin to see yourself as someone guided, accompanied, sustained. This doesn't eliminate responsibility, but it transforms the way you carry it. And the way you carry something determines the weight it will have on your soul. Maybe today you arrived here feeling that you need protection. Protection over contracts, decisions, finances, professional relationships. Protection over the walls of your home, over the conversations that happen inside it, over the sleep of those you love. And that need is legitimate. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of love. Only those who love feel compelled to protect. Only those who care deeply pray for protection. Allow yourself now to breathe a little more slowly. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold it for a moment. Release it gently. Feel the air leaving as if you were letting go of the tension accumulated throughout the day. Do it once more, and as you breathe, repeat within yourself, "I am not alone, I am not alone, I am not alone," because before any request for external protection, there is a truth that must be felt internally. There is a presence walking with you, in the office, on the street, inside your home, in the silence of the early morning hours. And this presence does not accuse you for being tired. It does not criticize your fear. It understands. It embraces. It guides. And perhaps the question that begins this journey is simple, yet profound. If you truly believed you are being guided, how would your body feel right now? How would your voice sound when speaking to your family? How would you walk into your workplace tomorrow? Let that question stay with you as we move forward, because everything begins here, in the quiet decision not to walk alone. There is a kind of exhaustion that never shows up in conversations. It isn't dramatic, it isn't visible, but it builds quietly. It's the fatigue of someone who is constantly deciding, the one who carries deadlines, expectations, bills, people. It's the exhaustion of rarely being allowed to fail, because you feel that if you do, something important will collapse. And that ongoing weight comes with an invisible cost. The body records everything, every hard decision, every unresolved conflict, every insecurity about your professional future. Science shows that when we live under constant responsibility, the body maintains elevated levels of cortisol. That affects mood, sleep, patience. You leave work still in alert mode, and when you arrive home, your body doesn't realize it's supposed to relax. It stays ready to fight, to fix, to react. And then small things start to feel bigger than they really are. Many adults, especially after 40, begin to notice a painful pattern. When professional instability increases, tension at home rises too. Not because love has faded, not because family has become less important, but because emotional energy is drained. Patience runs short. Silence feels heavy. Your gaze grows distant, and deep down, a quiet guilt surfaces for not being the best version of yourself in every environment. It's at this point that praying for protection becomes almost a survival sigh. God, protect my work, protect my home. But there's a detail that often goes unnoticed. We ask for protection while continuing to expose ourselves daily to toxic conversations, disorganized environments, nonstop routines, people who drain our energy. We ask for peace, but we don't create pauses. We ask for balance, but we don't establish even minimal boundaries for rest. Psalm 23 says, "He restores my soul." That sentence can move from being merely spiritual to deeply practical. To restore the soul is to allow your nervous system to slow down before entering another environment. It's not bringing the battlefield of work to the dinner table. It's not turning your living room into an extension of the office. Imagine a small daily ritual. Before opening your front door, remain in the car or on the sidewalk for a few minutes. Breathe deeply. Inhale through your nose to the count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale slowly through your mouth to the count of 6. Do this several times. Then whisper, "He restores my soul," not as a magic formula, but as a conscious intention of transition. You're leaving one environment and entering another. Your body needs to understand that. A shepherd does not yell at a tired sheep. He doesn't demand more wool. He leads it to safer ground. The image is simple, but profoundly therapeutic. Maybe you are demanding from yourself what even God is not demanding. Maybe you are pushing for constant performance when what you truly need is guidance. Ask yourself, with honesty and gentleness, where is my routine exhausting me beyond what is necessary? Which conversations could be avoided? Which discussions could be postponed until I am more emotionally regulated? What nighttime habits are preventing real rest? These questions are not accusations. They are invitations to awareness, because spiritual protection is not only something that descends from heaven, it is also something built through small, consistent choices. Every time you pause before reacting, you protect your home. Every time you choose not to respond immediately to a provocation at work, you protect your peace. Every time you honor your physical and emotional limits, you respect the divine care over your life. Maybe what is draining your energy is not the amount of responsibility, but the absence of recovery. The human body was created for cycles: tension and relaxation, effort and rest, action and contemplation. When you live only in tension, your heart begins to close, your mind becomes rigid, and the home, which should be shelter, starts to feel like another place of demand. Today, allow yourself to acknowledge something important. Your exhaustion makes sense. Your need for protection makes sense. Your fear that something might fall apart makes sense. You're not weak for feeling this way. You are human. And precisely because you are human, you need regular restoration. As you read these words, notice your body. Are your shoulders tight? Is your jaw clenched? Is your breathing shallow? Just observe. No judgment. And once again, repeat internally, "He restores my soul." Say it slowly. Feel the weight of the words. Let them move from your thoughts into your body, because perhaps true protection begins when you stop fighting exhaustion alone and allow yourself to be led to safer ground. And the question that remains, gentle but steady, is this: what needs to change in your routine so that your soul is, in fact, restored before the day ends? There's a line in the psalm that is often repeated almost automatically: "I shall not want." And without even realizing it, we immediately associate it with money, stability, success, continuous growth, as if the promise were tied to external results, as if lacking nothing meant facing no challenges. But when we look more deeply, we realize this declaration points to something far more subtle and far more powerful: sufficiency of direction. "I shall not want" is the confidence that guidance will not be lacking, presence will not be lacking. Leadership and direction will not be lacking. And that confronts a very common anxiety in those who carry responsibility. The constant fear of losing position, losing income, losing recognition. When that fear goes unacknowledged, it turns into accelerated ambition. And accelerated ambition, when left unbalanced, turns into exhaustion. We live in an almost addictive cycle of productivity. Every goal achieved releases a small surge of dopamine. Every compliment reinforces the need for more performance. Every accomplishment creates a new standard to surpass. And slowly, the soul begins to believe it only has value when it is producing. It only deserves security when it is performing. It can only rest when everything is perfect. But that rest never arrives. The more you fear professional loss, the more defensive you become. The more you try to control every scenario, the more rigid you grow. And that rigidity shows up in your tone of voice, in quick responses, in the difficulty of truly listening. Without realizing it, you begin leading from fear rather than from trust. And leading from fear weakens your presence. I shall not want does not mean you will have everything under control. It means you will not be without guidance. You will not be without wisdom for the next step. You will not be without the internal resources needed to walk through whatever arises. That distinction is profound, because control creates tension. Trust creates stability. Before starting work tomorrow, try something simple. Sit in silence for a moment. Take a deep breath. Read Psalm 23 slowly. And when you reach the words, I shall not want, ask yourself, what fear have I allowed to dictate my tone? Fear of losing a client? Fear of disappointing someone? Fear of not being enough? Just identify it. Don't fight it. Simply acknowledge it. When you name a fear, it loses part of its unconscious power over you. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for detecting threats, begins to calm down when a fear is clearly identified. What was once a vague shadow becomes something concrete, observable, and what can be observed can be regulated. Imagine a sheep surrounded by wolves. It doesn't survive by running endlessly. It survives by staying within the shepherd's perimeter. Protection is not in speed. It is in proximity. In the same way, your security is not found in working to your limit every single day. It is found in remaining aligned with your values, your purpose, your awareness. Maybe you were taught that needing direction is a sign of weakness, that leaders don't hesitate, that strong people don't doubt. But the truth is, even kings needed guidance, and that is exactly what David declared when he wrote the psalm. He did not govern alone. He was led. There is a quiet freedom in admitting, I don't need to control everything. I need to walk guided. That sentence may seem simple, but it shifts your posture. Your shoulders lower slightly. Your breathing deepens. Your thoughts become clearer. You begin acting with intention instead of impulse. If I shall not want is truly real in your life, then what can you release today? What excessive need to prove yourself can be surrendered? What constant comparison can be abandoned? What internal pressure can be softened? Repeat slowly, as if realigning your heart. I shall not want, not as a promise of excess, but as an affirmation of sufficiency. Sufficiency of direction. Sufficiency of presence. Sufficiency of strength for the next step. And when that truth begins to move from your mind into your body, something changes in the way you enter meetings, respond to messages, lead difficult conversations, You stop acting from scarcity and start acting from trust. And trust is protection. Trust is stability. Trust is rest in the middle of movement. Perhaps the greatest danger is not the lack of resources, but the misinterpretation of abundance. Because real abundance is not having everything, it is knowing that for each stage of the journey, there will be sufficient direction, and that changes everything. There are moments when the valley isn't at work. It's inside your home. It's in the silent atmosphere between one room and another. It's in the worry over the health of someone you love. It's in the uncertainty after a career change, an unexpected retirement, a financial loss, a medical report that shook your family's emotional foundation. And then you realize that the place that was supposed to be shelter is also passing through shadow. The psalm does not say, "If I pass through the valley." It says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." Walking implies movement. It implies crossing through. The valley is not a permanent residence. It is transitional territory. But when we are inside it, everything feels final. The mind begins creating catastrophic scenarios. The body responds as if danger were constant. Neuroscience explains that uncertainty strongly activates the amygdala, increasing the perception of threat. This means that during seasons of instability, small disagreements feel like major attacks. A neutral comment sounds like criticism. A simple delay becomes a sign of disaster. The brain, trying to protect, exaggerates. And inside the home, where everyone is emotionally more exposed, that amplification becomes even more intense. Maybe you have tried to be the pillar, the strong one, the one who doesn't show fear. You silence your own anxiety so you won't worry others. You avoid sharing your doubts to maintain an image of stability. But that isolated strength comes at a cost. Because when you distance yourself emotionally in order to appear unshakable, you create an invisible loneliness inside your own home. There is something deeply transformative when a family prays together during a valley, not because the circumstances change immediately, but because the connection changes. Observational studies show that couples who share spiritual practices during crises report stronger emotional bonds even before external improvement occurs. Praying together reorganizes the perception of threat. It creates a sense of shared facing, and facing together is different from enduring alone. Even though I walk through the valley, repeat that sentence slowly. Notice the verb is active. You are walking. You are not paralyzed. You are not abandoned. You are in motion. And then comes the part that confronts the deepest fear. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Presence. That is the key. Not the absence of shadow, the presence in the middle of it. Today, try something simple and deeply symbolic. Walk through the rooms of your house in silence. Gently touch the walls, the doors, the furniture, and in an audible voice declare, even if this is a valley, we are not alone. Not as a superstitious ritual, but as an act of awareness. You are reconfiguring the emotional atmosphere of the environment. Maybe your home has absorbed tension over the past weeks. Unresolved arguments, unspoken worries, heavy silences. Homes store emotional energy, not in an exaggerated, mystical way, but in a psychological one. The brain associates environments with internal states. If a space has frequently been the stage for stress, the body begins preparing for stress upon entering it. But the opposite is also true when an environment becomes the stage for prayer, for conscious breathing, for words of alignment. It begins to be associated with safety. The valley does not define you. It reveals where you need to deepen trust. It reveals where your faith must move from theory into practice. It is not punishment. It is process. It is not abandonment. It is passage. Ask yourself honestly, what part of my home is asking for more presence and less control? What conversation needs to happen, not with accusation, but with vulnerability? What fear have I been hiding in order to appear too strong? Maybe true strength is admitting, I am afraid too. And even so, I keep walking. I keep trusting. I keep declaring that I am not alone. When you walk through the valley with awareness of presence, something shifts in your posture. Fear does not disappear instantly, but it stops ruling. And when fear stops ruling, the tone of conversations changes. The energy behind decisions changes. The atmosphere of the house begins, little by little, to soften. Repeat once more, now with a deep breath. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Feel the weight of that sentence. Feel its firmness. It is not denial of reality. It is affirmation of companionship. And perhaps the valley that feels dark today is, in truth, leading your family into a deeper level of connection, shared faith, emotional maturity. Because some homes are not strengthened in abundance. They are strengthened in the crossing. You are crossing through. You are not stuck. And as you walk, there is a presence walking with you. There is a part of the psalm that often goes unnoticed because it sounds too firm for such a comforting text. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. At first glance, it feels strange that instruments of correction would bring comfort. But when you look more deeply, you realize that direction and limits are also forms of care. The rod defended against external threats. The staff guided when the sheep began to drift from the safe path. It was not violence. It was active protection. It was structure. And perhaps one of the greatest sources of anxiety today is precisely the absence of clear structure, both at work and inside the home. Many spiritually sensitive people confuse kindness with permissiveness. They tolerate disrespect in the workplace so they won't seem rigid. They accept constant overload to prove commitment. They swallow words that should be spoken calmly and firmly, and little by little, their self-worth erodes. The soul begins to feel small. The body starts to tense up before even walking into certain meetings. Neuroscience shows that clear boundaries reduce anticipatory anxiety. When you know how far you will go and what you will not accept, the brain stops wasting energy simulating scenarios of intrusion. Predictability creates safety, and safety is one of the foundations of emotional rest. Maybe you are asking for a divine protection while avoiding the establishment of human boundaries, but the two walk together. Spiritual protection does not cancel emotional responsibility. On the contrary, it strengthens you to exercise it. Think about your work environment. Is there a recurring behavior that crosses basic respect? A constant demand that ignores your limits of time or energy? Perhaps the staff needs to be used there, not with aggression, but with clarity, a firm conversation, a respected schedule, a calm and steady no. Now think about your home. Is there a dynamic that creates confusion disguised as love, a lack of definition that generates silent resentment. Boundaries do not push away those who love you. They organize love. They create a safe space where each person knows where they stand. A home without clear boundaries does not become more harmonious. It becomes more tense, because insecurity grows when no one knows exactly what is expected, and that insecurity fuels small arguments that hide deeper frustrations. When the psalm says that the rod and the staff bring comfort, it is revealing something profound. Discipline and direction reduce fear. There is reassurance in knowing there is guidance, in knowing there is defense, in knowing there is someone attentive to invisible threats. Perhaps you need to ask yourself, with gentle courage, where have I been excessively tolerant out of fear of conflict? Where am I confusing silence with peace? Where am I allowing disorganization to steal my serenity? Setting a boundary may make your heart race at first. It may create temporary discomfort. But after the conversation happens, after the structure is established, your body breathes differently. Your mind rests. Your home reorganizes. Take a deep breath now. Inhale, hold, release slowly. Imagine yourself holding a symbolic staff, not to control people, but to guide your own posture, to defend your peace, to lead your home with intention. Protection is not only something you ask for, it is something you practice. Every healthy boundary is a fence that preserves the field. Every clear conversation is a gate that prevents emotional invasion. And perhaps the question, echoing softly right now, is this: if God is guiding you, why would you be afraid to guide the environments that have been entrusted to you? There is a kind of pressure that doesn't come from inside the home, but from outside. It has a name, a face, an opinion. Sometimes it's a competitive colleague. Sometimes it's a demanding superior. Sometimes it's social expectations that seem to be constantly watching your every move. You feel evaluated, measured, compared, and that creates a steady tension, as if you were always sitting before an invisible tribunal. It was in this context that the declaration emerged: "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." It is not a scene of escape. It is not a scene of hiding. It is a scene of stability under observation. The table is set. There is provision. There is dignity, even when critical eyes are nearby. The most common emotional mistake under public pressure is becoming obsessed with those who are against you. The mind begins spinning around defensive strategies. The body remains on alert. You anticipate attacks that may never even come. And in that state, you lose something essential: your inner composure. When the brain perceives social threat, criticism, rejection, comparison, it activates regions similar to those that respond to physical pain. That's why criticism can hurt so deeply. But there is a quiet antidote: self-regulation through internal focus. When you anchor yourself in values and purpose, external threat loses intensity. Leaders who cultivate reflective spiritual routines show greater resilience under scrutiny, not because they don't feel pressure, but because they are not defined by it. They create daily moments of alignment, moments when they remember who they are before facing what stands in front of them. Today, try visualizing your work environment. Mentally see the room, the desks, the people, the screens, the voices, and as you picture it, slowly repeat, You prepare a table before me. Feel what that means. You are not begging for survival. You are seated with dignity. The table symbolizes provision. It symbolizes honor maintained even under critical observation. It symbolizes that your identity does not depend on the approval of adversaries. You can be observed without being destabilized. You can be questioned without being diminished. You can be challenged without losing your essence. Maybe you are tired of constantly defending yourself, tired of proving competence, tired of justifying every decision. Allow this image of the table to reorganize your inner world. It is not you against the world. It is you guided, sustained, aligned, even while the world watches. And there is something deeply liberating in that. You don't have to react to every provocation. You don't have to respond to every insinuation. You don't have to enter every dispute. Sometimes the greatest demonstration of strength is remaining seated with serenity, knowing that your source is not other people's opinions. Take a breath now. Inhale deeply. Imagine yourself seated at the table, your shoulders relaxed, your posture steady, your breathing calm. Around you, there may be challenges, but within you, there is order, there is clarity, there is presence. Protection is also this, keeping your dignity intact under pressure, not becoming smaller because of criticism, not becoming aggressive because of competition, not becoming insecure because of comparison. And perhaps the question that arises is gentle, yet necessary. Who do you become when you feel observed? Do you shrink? Do you defend? Or do you anchor yourself even more deeply in the awareness that there is a table prepared for you, not by human approval, but by a greater guidance? Stay with that image, because when you learn to sit with serenity in the presence of your adversaries, work stops being a constant battlefield and becomes a space of maturity. And maturity is one of the quietest forms of protection. There is an image in the psalm that is deeply intimate. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. In that time, oil symbolized consecration, care, and separation for a purpose. It was a sign of honor and also of healing. Today, we might understand this image as something equally concrete, the intentional creation of atmosphere. A home is not just a physical space. It absorbs the tone of conversations. It absorbs the rhythm of breaths. It absorbs words spoken harshly and also those spoken with care. The brain links environments to emotional states. If a place constantly hosts tension, the body learns to prepare for tension upon entering it. If it becomes a space of welcome, the body learns to relax. Perhaps you're asking for protection over your home, but haven't yet realized that protection also involves atmosphere. What is repeated within these walls? Constant criticism, long silences, subtle ironies, or words of appreciation, attentive looks, expressed gratitude. The hidden mistake is praying for peace without transforming communication patterns that generate friction. It is not a lack of faith. It is a lack of alignment. Practical spirituality begins when prayer meets behavior. Imagine the oil as a symbol of conscious intention. When you choose to speak calmly, you're anointing the environment. When you decide to listen before reacting, you're creating space for healing. When you acknowledge someone's effort in your family, you are filling the emotional cup of that home. The overflowing cup does not represent material abundance. It represents emotional reserves. It represents a level of internal security so stable that small external storms cannot destroy it. A protected home is not one without conflicts. It is one with sufficient emotional resources to navigate conflicts without collapse. Try something simple and profound once a week. Gather the people who live with you. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be long. Read Psalm 23 together. Then, each person speaks a single sentence of gratitude toward another. One sentence only, but said while making eye contact. It may seem small. It may seem too simple. But repeated small practices rewire neural patterns. They teach the brain to associate that environment with safety, recognition, and belonging. Perhaps you will notice that your home needs less control and more connection, less rigid rules and more intentional presence, less automatic pressure and more conscious acknowledgement. Close your eyes for a moment and visualize your home bathed in a soft light, not as a fantasy, but as a symbol of intention. Imagine each room being filled with calm. Imagine words filtered through respect. Imagine the tone of conversations softening slightly. This visualization alone does not change reality, but it changes your posture within it, and posture changes atmosphere. You anoint my head with oil. There is care over you. There is honor over your responsibility. You are not sustaining your home alone. There is a greater source sustaining you. And when you feel cared for, you care better. When you feel honored, you honor better. When you feel protected, you protect with greater balance. Ask yourself gently, what kind of atmosphere have I been helping to create in my home? Does it reflect haste or presence, fear or trust, reactivity or listening? The cup may start empty after difficult days, but it can be filled little by little, with kind words, with conscious pauses, with small rituals of gratitude, with deeper breaths before responding. Protection is repeated presence. It is consistent intention. It is love practiced in everyday details. And perhaps today marks the beginning of a new atmosphere. Not perfect, not instant, but more conscious, more aligned, more protected from the inside out. Now, after traversing each image, metaphor, and reflection, return to the beginning. Return to the simple phrase that underpins the entire psalm. The Lord is my shepherd. Notice how it sounds now. Perhaps deeper, perhaps more concrete, perhaps less automatic, and more alive. Praying Psalm 23 is not about repeating ancient words and expecting instant miracles. It is about exercising spiritual governance over the environments entrusted to you. Governance, not as rigid control, but as conscious alignment. You are choosing which atmosphere will prevail at work. You are choosing which energy will dominate your home. You are choosing whether fear will be the main voice or whether confidence will occupy that space. Breathe deeply before continuing. Inhale slowly. Feel the air filling your lungs. Hold for a moment. Exhale slowly. And now, recite internally, line by line, with intention. The Lord is my shepherd. I am not lost in my professional decisions. Guidance is available. Wisdom is accessible. I can seek direction before responding, before deciding, before acting. I shall not want. I will not lack clarity for the next step. I will not lack strength to get through a difficult day. I will not lack presence to sustain my home with balance. Anxiety may whisper scarcity, but my faith declares sufficiency. He makes me lie down in green pastures. My home can become a place of restoration, not silent warfare. I can contribute to this. I can lower my tone. I can breathe before reacting. I can transform the environment by starting with my own emotional regulation. He leads me in paths of righteousness, even when the market fluctuates, even when decisions are complex, even when others act disloyally. I can choose integrity. I can choose character. I can choose not to compromise my soul to maintain a position. Though I walk through the valley, valleys are not signs of failure. They are part of the path. They do not define my story. They do not define my home. They are phases of transition, and I am not alone in them. I will fear no evil. Fear will not set the tone of my conversations. Fear will not sign my contracts. Fear will not govern my responses. I acknowledge fear, but I do not bow to it. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Boundaries are protection. Structure is care. Direction is active love. I can set boundaries with serenity. I can defend my peace without losing compassion. You prepare a table before me. Even under pressure, I can maintain dignity. Even in the face of criticism, I can maintain composure. My identity does not depend on the approval of those watching. You anoint my head with oil. There is honor over my responsibility. There is care over my mind. Healing is available for accumulated fatigue. My cup overflows. I can cultivate enough emotional reserve so that external storms do not completely invade my home. I can create a space where gratitude is more frequent than complaint, where listening is more present than accusation. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. It is not the pursuit of threat. It is the accompaniment of care. It is not the expectation of disaster. It is the concrete hope of continual presence. Just as David moved from shepherd to king without abandoning his dependence on God, you too can grow professionally, take on greater responsibilities, lead people, sustain a family, without losing your spiritual essence. Growth does not need to mean hardness. Leadership does not need to mean isolation. Protection does not need to mean absolute control. Perhaps the greatest transformation is not external. Perhaps it occurs in how you enter work tomorrow, in how you walk through your home's door at the end of the day, in how you breathe before responding, in how you choose to trust, even without total guarantees. Protection is not the removal of all valleys. It is the presence of guidance as you walk through them. It is the internal sense that no matter what happens, you're not abandoned. And when that sense becomes real in the body, your gaze changes, your tone changes, your posture changes. Remain in silence for a few moments now. Feel your body, feel your heart, feel the environment around you, and ask yourself a question that can transform your coming days. If I truly believe I am guided, protected, and accompanied, how will I choose to live from today onward in my work and in my home? Let this question resonate, because perhaps true protection begins precisely in the answer you decide to embody. Stay a little longer in this inner silence. Do not turn off now. Do not rush to the next task. Let what has been said descend from your mind into your body, because many times we understand spiritually, but do not feel physically, and it is in the body that fear takes root. It is in the body that anxiety establishes itself, and it is in the body that confidence also needs to reside. Perhaps you began this moment asking for protection over your work and your home, but notice how the prayer went beyond a request. It became an alignment, a realignment, as if, little by little, something within you had shifted from a constant alert posture to a posture of conscious trust. Protection is not rigidity. Protection is presence. Protection is not absolute control. Protection is constant direction. Protection is not the absence of problems. Protection is inner stability while problems are being traversed. Now, feel your feet touching the ground. Even if you're sitting or lying down, imagine your feet firm. There is ground beneath you. There is support. This simple image communicates something profound to the brain. You are sustained. You are not floating in chaos. There is a foundation. There is support. Place one of your hands on your chest if you can. Feel the beats of your heart. It has worked silently for you all these years, even when you doubted, even when you were afraid, even when you thought you could not endure another challenge. It continued, constant, faithful. So too is the presence that the psalm describes, continuous, stable, near. Perhaps tomorrow, nothing will change externally, immediately. Responsibilities will continue. Challenges may remain. But something may be different. Your internal posture. An internal posture changes decisions, changes words, changes reactions. Small internal changes create sustainable micro-transformations over time. When you wake up, before touching your phone, repeat only the first phrase, "The Lord is my shepherd." Let it organize your day before the notifications try to disrupt it. Upon arriving at work, take a deep breath before the first interaction. Upon entering your home, pause for a few seconds before speaking. These are simple gestures, but repeated, they build a new atmosphere. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to always get it right. You do not need to be strong all the time. You need to be aware. You need to be present. You need to remember that you do not walk alone. If at any moment fear returns, and it may return, do not blame yourself. Just acknowledge it and return. Return to the breath. Return to the phrase. Return to the awareness that guidance is available. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the repeated decision to trust despite it. And as this moment comes to a close, allow a gentle certainty to remain. Your home can become a lighter place. Your work can become a less threatening space, not because the world has changed, but because you have begun to govern your energy differently. You are not unprotected. You are not alone. You are not walking without direction. May goodness and mercy be more than ancient words. May they become daily experiences, noticed in the details, in the conversation that ends better than it began, in the decision made with calm, in the night of sleep that arrives more peacefully. And when doubt arises again, return to this simple, firm, and profound truth. There is a shepherd. There is direction. There is care. And you can rest in this, even while you continue leading, working, and loving.